So this is this week's job, or should I say last week's job, is to make a curved steel planter out of some thick steel plate to go with one of the decorative archways I made at the beginning, well, the very end of last year, beginning of this year. So here we go, big sheet of steel from Brundles, and set about cutting it into some manageable pieces with the 9-inch grinder, using my ISO Tunes ear defenders. Really liking these. You can listen to music. You can also stop the camera by just pressing the pause button, which is quite a handy feature. So first job, get my massive rollers out, because I've not made it to the workshop yet. They live in the barn. So the forklift, which is now green, don't ask me why it's green, it's now green overnight, and that was rather handy to use a pallet to support the end, because although the rollers would just about bend this plate, the weight hanging out the side then obviously straightened it, and if anything bent it the other way, so I had to keep altering the height of the forklift and the trestle. But it made a brilliant sound as the steel went through the rollers. But being, I think it's 5mm thick, 4mm thick, even with such a large diameter rollers as that, the flex made it rather hard work. Just listen to those cogs. So at this point it was quite therapeutic, but it very quickly got rather hard to turn the hand wheel, and then sort of ridiculously hard to turn the hand wheel. You might be able to hear a lot of hail. After all the nice weather we've been having, it's now decided to absolutely chuck it down. But anyway, back to what we're doing. The great thing about this old kit is it will take a bit of abuse, because these rollers were never designed to bend plate this thickness, but they have done it. But as you can see, it's bent one side to a tighter radius than the other side. And the reason for that is the rollers have more support on the ends where the bearings are than they do in the middle, and even though these rollers are really thick, they flex in the middle, and that allows one side to not be such a tight radius. So the way I got round this was to turn the piece of plate round with great effort and slightly sketchy manoeuvres, so that I could put the other side up against the bearings to roll that to the same diameter. This is where I really needed 3 people, but there was just myself and the forklift. So with a bit of foot and hand and heel and toe, I managed to wind the hand wheel to get the metal back in so that we could roll it again. And as you can see, once it gets over the top and the weight is then supported over the rollers again, you quite quickly get quite a tight radius. So with that done, there was a bit of a twist in the metal plate from being messed around with the rollers. So what I did is made this pry bar thing and used the shed steel as a support, and just bit by bit moved it along and straightened it. Now with the time lapse this looks oh so very easy, but there's a bit at ordinary speed in a minute, and you can see it takes a great amount of force to twist the plate straight. And this was so that the plate would lie flat on the floor and be vertical when you looked at it. So there you go, that's the rudimentary tool I made. Often you find when you're doing a job, a large part of the task is actually making jigs or tools or frames, or even just working out a way of making the item. Making the item's often the easy bit, once you've worked out how to do it and you've made all the bits. And that was the case with this. Anyway, with that done, we're over to the customer's house. It's south facing and it's currently 27 degrees, and we had some concrete that we needed to chip out. There's the frames I'd made before, there's the concrete we chipped out. So with that done, it was time to get everything set and level. Now there is a plate mounted up to the wall. I know a certain person thought I was welding brick, but that was not actually the case, although blue bricks have a lot of Staffordshire iron in. So yeah, that was mounted up to the wall, and then the curved piece was welded to that. Now it could have been made at the workshop and then fitted, but I decided to assemble it on site, because then you have room to adjust things, and it makes all the parts look a bit more manageable to lift about, because I was doing it by myself. So here we are with the Artec Pro MIG 250 welder. So it'll weld 12mm plate, but you can actually lift it by yourself and put it in the back of the car. So it's quite a versatile machine, and it made very light work of welding this together. There we go. It's going to take an awful lot of soil to fill that, but that's not my department, fortunately. So it took Didn't take me too long to fit it, which I was really pleased about because it was stupidly hot. So that's that one. See you on the next one.